Humans have used petroleum for thousands of years. However, oil spill disasters are commercial and environmental catastrophes. They have been one of the major concerns of the marine world for a long time now. In addition to killing marine life and birds, oil spills damage beaches and wildlife habitats as well. When an oil slick reaches the beach, it also badly affects human settlement on and around the coast. In short, a single oil spill can completely disturb an entire ecosystem for a quite long period. While several small oil spill incidents take place on a regular basis, only major ones receive most of the attention. And it takes month-long oil cleaning operations to bring back the areas around the spill to normality. The world has also encountered major oil spill disasters many times. Stay with us as we take you through 5 of the most disastrous oil spills in world history. Around 10,000 oil leaks and spills take place in Russia every year due to several factors, including aging infrastructure. The majority of these oil leaks go unreported due to a lack of proper environmental monitoring. However, one of the world's largest oil spill disasters took place in the Kolva River in 1994. The oil spill on the Kolva River was caused by a rupture in a corroded oil pipeline in the Russian Arctic. Local media reported that the leak came from a pipeline that connected the Ixtoc oil field in the neighboring district to a nearby Lukoil storage facility. Leaks from the pipe had been occurring since the start of the year. Oil accumulated around the rupture site for about 8 months, contained by a dike. But later, the dike gave way, spilling around 84 million gallons of oil into the Kolva River. Some 186 square kilometers of tundra and wetlands were tainted by oil. After reaching the Kolva River, the oil traveled downstream to Usinsk, a town of 45,000 people located 2,000 kilometers northeast of Moscow. Initial cleanup work was not able to be carried out because of cold and snow. This appeared to be a significant spill for the indigenous communities in an area that has been blighted by the impacts of the reckless and negligent oil industry for many years. The company involved in this oil spill was responsible for the 20-year-old pipeline and had a history of accidents caused by age and corrosion. They were fined $600,000 for this incident. Residents said the oil that leaked from the ruptured pipeline was only a fraction of what has been steadily seeping into the tundra and its rivers since the first Soviet oil rig began pumping in the region in 1974. The Atlantic Empress oil spill is one of the largest oil spill disasters in world history that released an estimated 90 million gallons of oil into the Atlantic Ocean, some 16 kilometers off the islands of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the equivalent of 136 full-size Olympic swimming pools worth of oil. It took place after a collision between the ships VLCC's Atlantic Empress and Aegean Captain on July 19, 1979 during a tropical storm. Both ships caught fire that ignited an oil slick, but the Atlantic Empress caught the worst of the collision. The ship was towed away from land, and it kept on burning for 2 weeks before sinking. 27 sailors died during the accident. Meanwhile, the fire aboard the Aegean Captain was extinguished and the ship was towed to Trinidad. While the fire consumed a large portion of the oil cargo, there was still a visible slick spanning 30 miles by 60 miles. Luckily, no serious pollution managed to reach the shores of nearby islands as winds pushed most of the oil out to sea, where it dispersed. No impact study was ever carried out by the affected countries, and later, $30 million was paid out in claims. Mexico's Ixtoc-1 oil well exploded and caught fire in June 1979, releasing up to 140 million gallons of crude oil into the Bay of Campeche. Due to the huge fire, valves were ruptured, which made it difficult for rescue personnel to control the damage. The spill continued for almost a year until March 1980. The Ixtoc-1 accident is ranked as the second worst oil spill of all time by many sources. The spill began with an explosion aboard the Ixtoc-1 platform, which drilled exploration wells down to 164 feet of water. The explosion was caused when the drilling mud did not circulate, resulting in an accumulation of oil and gas in the pipe. When workers tried to remove the drill so that material could flow back into the pipe and clog the hole, a slurry of sludge, oil, and natural gas flowed through the pipe, bypassing the blowout preventer, which wasn't working. When the gases came into contact with whirring engines on the surface, they resulted in a fire. Over the next 9 months, between 126 million and 140 million gallons were released into the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. Some of that oil was washed up on beaches from the western Yucatan Peninsula to southern Texas, resulting in hundreds of millions of dollars of loss in tourism revenue. It also reduced commercial fishing in the region for up to 5 years after the incident. The largest oil spill accident in history occurred in the Gulf of Mexico on the 20th of April, 2010. The incident took place after a natural gas blast shot through a cement well cap that had recently been installed to seal a well drilled by BP's Deepwater Horizon oil platform. The gas flowed up the rig's riser line to the platform where it ignited. During the incident, 11 workers were killed and 17 were injured. The oil platform overturned and sank within 2 days. Before the well was closed a few months later, about 134 million gallons of oil were released. About 2,100 kilometers of the U.S. Gulf Coast from Texas to Florida were covered with oil. Sources suggest that around 10 million gallons of oil were spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, seriously affecting marine life and making this the largest marine oil spill in world history. In the lawsuits that followed, the responsible oil company, BP, paid $65 billion in compensation to people who relied on the Gulf for their livelihoods. A study conducted in 2014 revealed that up to 800,000 birds died after the incident, and 65,000 turtles were found dead on the coasts. The Persian Gulf War oil spill, the worst oil spill disaster in history, was not an accident. It was done on purpose in a war. The oil spill disaster took place in January 1991 when Iraqi forces allegedly dumped oil into the Persian Gulf. There is a history behind this war-led disaster. On August 2, 1990, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein ordered the invasion and occupation of Kuwait with the obvious aim of acquiring the Gulf country's large oil reserves. They also aimed to cancel a large debt that Iraq owed Kuwait and to expand Iraqi power in the region. However, the United States assembled a coalition of British, French, Saudis, and others to expel the Iraqis. After a massive air and ground attack in January 1991, Iraqi forces withdrew. In the process, however, they ignited hundreds of Kuwaiti oil wells that kept burning for months. To prevent the coalition from landing Marines and other amphibian forces in northern Kuwait and southern Iraq, Iraqi forces dumped hundreds of millions of gallons of oil from Kuwait's Sea Island terminal into the northern Persian Gulf before the end of hostilities. This was the first report on the use of natural resources, especially pollution, as a tactic of war. The spill caused over 240 million gallons of crude oil to enter the Persian Gulf and stretch for 60 miles. The oil slick reached a maximum size of 101 miles by 42 miles and was 5 inches thick. While the full extent of the damage is still unknown, many scientists believe it is one of the worst oil spills in human history, considering the far-reaching impact on marine life and neighboring coasts. Liquid petroleum had some significant advantages over other energy sources of the time. However, as a result of old and damaged equipment and human error, extracting oil from the ground and moving it occasionally results in oil spills, damaging marine life and coasts. Serious considerations should be put into the matter to prevent environmental disasters in the future. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to check out one of our other videos on some of the world's most incredible moments. As always, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.